All right, welcome. It looks like pretty much all the folks who were in the waiting room have joined this meeting now. Thanks for coming to the Roundtable, which is a real workshop, part of the demography workshop. I'm Chanjo from SCAG. I will be helping to facilitate a little bit alongside with my colleague Edward here. Looks like we've got about 26 participants here for what is always a good roundtable at the demography workshop, the U.S. Census Bureau's roundtable. U.S. Census Bureau has been a partner in the workshop, and Donald Benz and Luz Castillo will be presenting census data products and tools, accessing census data to understand local communities. Donald is an assistant regional census manager in the Community Partnership and Engagement Program in 2020 census. During the Decennial count, Donald led a media relations team that conducted hundreds of news interviews with outlets across a 7-state region. A veteran of the television news industry, Donald brings close to 20 years of experience as an on-air journalist to the U.S. Census Bureau. He has worked in many markets like Los Angeles and Miami and has called many states across the country home. Southern California native, Donald is a graduate of UCLA with BA in sociology. Luz is currently serving as data dissemination specialist for the U.S. Census Bureau, where she plays a vital role in helping the public understand data. She works directly with individuals, organizations, government officials, and others to increase their understanding and ability to access and work with data the Census Bureau collects. Luz has also worked to increase participation in census survey. She began her career during Census 2000, overseeing outreach efforts in Southern California and managed the Community Partnership and Engagement Program for the 2020 census. So Donald and Luz got presentation, but just so that everyone knows some of the logistics here, this is just a regular Zoom meeting. It's not a Zoom webinar, so you can unmute yourself just by pressing the little button or pressing *9 if you are on the phone. Or you can raise your hand on the Zoom device in the participant side here. So without further ado, Donald and Luz, take it away.
John, thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. We are so happy to be here on behalf of the U.S. Census Bureau and my colleague, Luz Castillo. We're glad to be back at SCAG. This is something that we've done many years in the past. This is my first time at SCAG, and I know that Luz has done this before. But we are so excited to be in front of this audience who truly appreciate census data, and we have a wonderful program for you today. We're going to be learning about how to access census data to better understand local communities. We'll move on to the next slide, talk about some of our objectives for the day. We're going to learn about some of the major surveys, programs, and products. We'll learn about some popular data tools, also learn how to access and navigate a wonderful tool that hopefully a lot of you are familiar with. It's data.census.gov. Luz will be giving a live demonstration on that. And then we're going to learn more about census.gov and how you can request some customized presentations and maybe some workshops for your future needs. Let's go to the next slide. On the agenda, we're going to be giving you an update on the 2020 census. We'll be talking about some data products, some data tools, resources, and as I mentioned, Luz is going to give a wonderful live demonstration on data.census.gov. Next slide, please. First, let's talk a little bit about the U.S. Census Bureau. I think there might be one before that, the update on the numbers, or is that the next slide? We'll start here. This is an update on just a little bit about the Bureau itself. Let me get into our spot right there. So the Census Bureau, it's the federal government's largest statistical agency. We have more than 100 censuses and surveys that we conduct every single year. So I know a lot of you are familiar with the big count that we just finished, the 2020 census. But it's important to know that all decade long, every month and every year, we're conducting surveys, hundreds of them every year. The one that you all know about is the Decennial census. That again is the once a decade population count of all 50 states and our United States territories. There's also the American Community Survey, which is an ongoing annual survey of social, economic, housing, and demographic characteristics of the nation's population. And then there's also the Economic Census, which is the official 5-year measure of American businesses. We also have a wonderful program for our K through 12 students. It's called Statistics in Schools. And what that does is it gives educators a chance to incorporate census data into their everyday lessons. It includes lessons plans and fun activities like the one we're showing right there about some fun facts for Father's Day. So that's very timely coming up. So in a classroom scenario, a teacher could present some of this. It would come with a lesson plan, and the students would have a really fun activity that's really applicable to what's happening, around Father's Day. So a number of guides and activities for our teachers and for our classrooms. We do have this statistics and program, more information on that at census.gov/schools. We want you to stay connected to the Bureau. We can offer you updates on census.gov. All you have to do is go down to the bottom of the page and you'll see that little space there to enter your email address. Go ahead and do that. And once you hit subscribe, that means that you're going to be sent information as it comes on a number of different important updates for the Census Bureau. So that we hope that all of you will go ahead and take some time to do that, because we do have a lot of updates that we like to share with the public. Get to our next slide. And I'm gonna, before we get onto the data products, I did want to give an update on the 2020 census. Let me just go ahead and get my notes for that. A lot of you may have already heard back on April 26th, the Bureau released what we call apportionment data. And that's essentially the population of each of the 50 states, including the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico. And as of April 1st, 2020, the new population of the United States was 331,449,281. Now that's up more than 7% since the 2010 census. So some growth between censuses. The next big data release that is coming will happen in August. This is for our redistricting data. As we have a shift in population, local governments and states and counties have to redraw or redistrict their areas. So we will be providing some of the numbers so that they can do that. And then later on in the summer, we're going to be releasing all of the demographic data, which will be of a great interest to this audience. So stay tuned for those updates, and the presentation that Luz is going to give will help you navigate through all of the new numbers that will be released this summer. So I'm going to turn it over to Luz to take it away with the rest of the program.
Great. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Again, my name is Luz Castillo, and as Donald mentioned, I have participated in this conference before, so it is a pleasure to be back to talk to you about the data that is available through the Census Bureau, and not only that, but also how to access it. As Don mentioned, the Census Bureau collects data for over 130 surveys. And of course, we don't have enough time to go through each and every one of them, but today I will focus on the top 3 that are the ones that are most often requested, usually when we have data users contact us for accessing local data or for accessing data. They don't want national data, they want data at the local level, data for their communities. So today I will be focusing on the Decennial census, on the American Community Survey, and the Population Estimates Program. So first, to start with the Decennial census. For those of you that completed your census questionnaire, you know that it was the short form and it had some basic questions. So when the data is released, you will get data on these basic demographics: the age of the population, sex, relationship, how are people related to each other within the household, Hispanic or Latino origin, race and ancestry, number of people living in a housing unit, and housing tenure. And because this questionnaire did go out to the our entire database of addresses across the nation, you will be able to get data to very small levels of geography. Included here, the census block, which in an urban area, we're talking about a city block. So really a lot of data really at small levels of geographies that you can use to better understand how your communities have changed over the past 10 years. Then we have the American Community Survey. This is an ongoing survey that gives us data also for our local communities. It is a sample. We sample 3.5 million addresses every year. So it's really a small percentage of our population, but it does allow us to, on an annual basis, give you that data to really see how your community is changing over time. So again, the estimates are yearly. It does give us demographics, socioeconomic, and housing characteristics. It is critical information that we do need for our small communities as we're writing grants, planning programs, just community analysis, you name it, anytime that we really need to get that data for our community. Most of the time you will be using the American Community Survey. And it does cover a large number of topics, more than the decennial census, so over 35 topics. And again, there's just a large number of federal uses for this data. But again, at the local level, for our community organizations, for our local governments, this data is very useful as well. I included here the link for the ACS webpage. I do encourage you to go to census.gov/ACS. There you can see sample questionnaires, learn more about why we ask the questions. There's some great resources for data users. There's our methodology, our technical documentation. Again, so much information. So I do encourage you to get more familiar with this survey, especially if you're looking to access this data to better understand your local community. So here you'll see the different topics that we collect data on, and you'll see it under 4 broad categories: demographic characteristics, social, housing, and economic. For each one of these broad categories, you can access a data profile for your community. And today, when I do go live, I will show you how to access those data profiles. So for example, if you access the demographic characteristics data profile, you will get the data for age, sex, race, and Hispanic origin for the geography that you identified. Then you see social characteristics, which is our biggest data profile. And here you'll see the different topics that you can get data on, from education to veterans data, disability status, language spoken at home, and many more topics. Then for housing, if you're interested in housing data, which includes not only information about the structure of the housing or its value, also how much are people paying for housing? What's the affordability of housing in your community? These tables, this data can help you answer those questions. And then we have economic characteristics: income, poverty, benefits, employment status, even commuting to work data. So as you can see, this survey gives us many more topics than the decennial. Those topics covered by the decennial are here in red fonts. So as decennial data gets outdated, you can get that similar information here through the American Community Survey. The only difference is that these are estimates of our community as opposed to official counts. So just a brief history of this survey. From 1940 to 2000, every time that we conducted a decennial census, we used to have 2 census forms, the short form and the long form. So most addresses received the short form, but about 1 in 6 households was selected to do the long form, which was also a long questionnaire that asked demographics, socioeconomic, and housing characteristics. And the feedback that we would get on an ongoing basis from our data users was that the data became outdated, and then they had to wait 10 years to access this data. So in 2005, the census replaced that long form with American Community Survey. So since 2005, we've been getting annual estimates about our community, again, on an ongoing basis. And that is why when we have the 2010 and the 2020 decennial census, the entire nation only got that short form questionnaire. So just keep in mind that even as we were doing the decennial census, we were still conducting ongoing surveys. So some households could have gotten 2 or more census surveys, one of them being the American Community Survey. So some quick differences between the decennial census and the American Community Survey. The census, again, is taken every 10 years. It is considered 100% data. It is an official count of our nation. And it's like taking a picture of our nation every 10 years. So we call it a point in time. And April 1st of the decennial year is our reference date. So for the ACS, American Community Survey, you'll see that acronym a lot. It's yearly data. Again, it is a sample size. Every month, just under 300,000 households get selected to participate in this survey. And so they receive this survey. Again, it's sent out on an ongoing basis. These are estimates, as I mentioned earlier. They're great for looking at trends, drawing comparisons between your communities. And we have 2 releases. We have the 1-year estimates and the 5-year estimates. So any geography with a population of 65,000 and above will get data through the 1-year estimates. Essentially what it does is that it pulls together the data that we collected over a 1-year period, a calendar year, pulls it together and then releases it. But for smaller communities like census tracts, for example, we need a bigger sample size. So we pull the data over a 60-month period. So it is average characteristics for a community over that 5-year period. So by having these 2 different data products, we're able to give you data not just for the nation and our big geographies, our big cities, but also at the local level so that we can see, again, the results at the local level for our local communities. So these are the selected geographic geographies that we release data for. You can see that down the middle, you see from the nation all the way down to a census block, but then you'll see many other geographies. Zip code tabulation areas are a very popular geography, especially if you're looking, you know, to your local communities, especially in big cities. The city of LA is an example where if you want to look at a neighborhood, sometimes the zip code is the best way to do it. Or you can also look at census tracts. Another popular geography, counties, places. So you don't see the word city here, but the term that the census uses is places. And we have 2 different types of places. We have cities and towns which are incorporated, and then we have another geography called census designated places. So you'll see the CDP acronym for those communities that are incorporated. We don't have a threshold in terms of size, but they're known in a community. For example, in LA County, East Los Angeles is a census designated place, and we have many others that are known communities. They're not cities, they don't have their own form of government, but we're able to access data for them. And just another one, geography census tracts. And here you'll see the population thresholds range from 1,200 to 8,000, although the optimum size is 4,000. And then you see there the range also for housing units. So again, a lot of times when data users are calling us to look at data, those are the ones that I get the most, but you'll see we also have school districts, congressional districts, state legislative districts. If you're unable to find or get the data that you want, you can also access our microdata. And so the geography for that is here, the public use microdata areas, or PUMA. So we also have that. But again, you can see that there's a large number of geographies. We have data for all of them, but again, you might be able to find more data for certain geographies over others. So now going over to the next program, the population estimates. So in between census, this is our official count for our nation, for our state, for our counties, for our incorporated places. So again, every year we do have a release of population estimates. So you're able to get population estimates. Housing unit totals are also available, but only at the national and state levels. And when we do release them, they are released on a flow basis. So on the right-hand side, you see the key dates for vintage 2020. We began with the releases in December of last year, and you can see that it was really only at the nation, at the state level, but the local data has been released in 2021 with in May, really is where we've had 3 releases where you're able to get population count data for counties and metro and micro areas, also for cities and towns, also the housing unit counts. And this month we will get the demographic data at the national, state, and county levels. So that's data on age, sex, race, and ethnicity. So in this table, you can see depending on what level of geography you're interested in, you can see what data is available. So if you really want data for a city, you can see that there's only the total resident population. That's all the data that is produced through the population estimates for this level of geography. But for counties, we have a lot more. So you can see we have components of change. So if your population is changing, you know, whether it's growing or declining, you can see is it because of births, because of deaths, or migration. Also, you'll see that at the county level, we get the population characteristics, age, sex, race, Hispanic origin. Again, that'll be released this month. And then you can see the housing unit count as well. And then, of course, you can see this as a reference for any other geography that you're interested in. So now to go to the data tool. So again, I mentioned these are 3 data products that give us data down to the local level. And we do have many tools that you can use to access that data, and not only just data from those programs, but many others. So here you'll see a list of the ones that I will highlight today. We have Quick Facts, we have Census Business Builder. So if you're interested in getting data that can help your local business, or if you're a chamber of commerce, you can access this data. It's very user-friendly. We have local employment and housing dynamics. Again, I'll go through these more in detail if you're interested in congressional districts. And again, today we'll go over data.census.gov. So let's go through each one of these. So starting with Quick Facts, this is right off our census.gov webpage, and it's a very user-friendly tool that allows you to compare up to 6 geographies side by side. And the only threshold limitation for this data tool is that the population has to be 5,000 and above. So if you're looking at cities and towns, they do have to meet that threshold for you to access data through this tool. But as you can see from the screenshot, you're able to see the data in a table form. It does give you the ability to look at map and some charts. And again, it allows you to quickly share this information, embed it, and download it. And I will be demonstrating this tool later on. Then we have Census Business Builder. As I mentioned, if you know anybody that's looking to start a business, expand a business, this is a very interactive tool. And again, it's very easy to use, customer focused. We want to make sure that small businesses are able to quickly get the data that they need. And it's very visual. As you can see, you can map and click on different geographies to see different data points to see where's the ideal place to expand or to start a business. You can look at trend charts, you can identify changes over time, and it's very easy to compare different geographies side by side. And again, everything is very user-friendly, downloadable, printable. We also have the Regional Analyst Edition, which is great for chambers of commerce, so they can identify what a service area is, or the region is, and then get data for that region. So again, very user-friendly, and with all of these tools, I included the links below so that you can access it more easily. Local employment dynamics. If you're looking to learn more about the workforce, we have within LEHD, we have different tools, and I'm just highlighting the 3 that are the most popular on the map, which is this top one in the screenshot. It allows you to see where do workers live and where do they work. So you can see your daytime population and whatever geography that you choose. Then you can look at quarterly workforce indicators. So by quarter, you can see all the different industries in your chosen geography, see the number of jobs that were created, in what industries. You can also get some basic demographic of the workforce and some basic earnings. And then we have on the map for emergency management. So wherever we have natural disasters, you can go to that area here on the on that tool and look at data, see who's being affected. You can look at the older populations, those with disabilities, maybe with language barriers. They can really help you develop a plan to help those communities that are being affected. Then we have a new one, a new tool called the COVID-19 Resource Hub that has a lot of information, but in very user-friendly ways. We have an impact report, and then you have a screenshot of that up at the top. Here on the right-hand side, you can select a state or a county, and you can get some socioeconomic characteristics for that area so that you can better understand your community. And then we have some COVID-specific surveys that are available through this hub. 2 of them that I want to highlight are the weekly Small Business Pulse Survey and the weekly Household Pulse Survey. These are 2 experimental surveys conducted by the Census Bureau. For over the past year, we've been collecting this data, and because it's experimental, we're able to change the type of questions that are being asked. So for example, we just recently had some reports that came out, and for the Small Business Pulse Survey, it asked businesses about the impact that COVID has had on their business, if they had requested a PPP loan forgiveness, if their businesses required proof of COVID-19 vaccination. So those are just some of the questions that were asked. For the household survey, for example, whether the household had children that were unable to attend daycare or any other type of daycare arrangement, where children had doctor's appointments by video or by phone, if the households have students that receive food assistance, and if there were individuals in the household that were teleworking. So again, these were just some of the examples of the questions that were asked. And as we move through the recovery, again, the questions will continue to change, but it's a great place that I recommend that you go visit to learn more about how the communities are impacted. You're able to get data for the nation, for the state, and for the 15 largest metro areas. Then we have other maps, highlighted data sets, and we also on this hub have data from other federal agencies. So this is just some screenshots of that hub to just show you that it has a lot of interactive features to it. And again, the purpose was to have a one-stop location where those individuals, those local governments that are working in their COVID recovery can go to this one place and really look and see what data is there and what could be useful for them in helping their communities move forward. So again, very interactive, and you have the link there below. Also, we have a tool called My Congressional District. This is a very simple tool. If you look at the screenshot, it actually has 2 steps. You select your state, and once you select it, step number 2 will be to select your congressional district. And if you don't know what your congressional district is, you can just enter below your zip code, and it will let you know your congressional district. Once you do that, then you can select whether you want data about people, about workers, housing, socioeconomic characteristics, education, and businesses. So again, very user-friendly tool. It allows you to download the data. It allows you to embed this tool into your websites as well. Then we have an API. So if you have any developers, that want to create any tools for your local governments, instead of having to download these large data sets, they can work with the API to make calls that will just call that data as the tool is being used. So these are just 2 examples of tools that the Census Bureau created. One of them at the bottom, the American Community Survey Data Wheel. Some of you may remember it in the past, we had a nice little wheel and you can just flip it around and get data for your state. Well, now we have it here as a data tool online, and it uses our Census API. So just note that we also have this option available. And then for those of you in mapping, we have our tiger line shapefiles with selected demographic data. So today I will show you our mapping tool on data.census.gov that gives you some basic mapping just to make some quick comparisons in terms of the data that you're looking. But again, if you want to use your GIS software to make these beautiful maps, you can access our tiger line shapefiles with the data to create your own. Lastly, we have data.census.gov. So as many of you know, we replaced factfinder.census.gov with this new tool, which is now our hub for all of our census surveys. So over time, that data has been migrated. So many of our surveys are already here. As I mentioned, this does have a mapping feature that I will show you today. And we have some profiles that already create some nice tables for you. So I will show you how to access that for your local communities. So when you go to data.census.gov, there's 2 ways to conduct your search. First, we have the single search where you enter in that text box something simple that you're looking for. For example, you want poverty data for Los Angeles, or you want age and sex data for San Diego County. Or if you don't know exactly what you want, but you know what geography, you can just enter, for example, your city there, click enter, and then you can see all of the data that is available for your geography. Then we have advanced search, which allows you to customize your search based on what you want. So if you're looking to compare multiple geographies or looking at what data is available by different topics, then advanced search is the way to go to begin your search. Or if you did a single search but didn't find what you were looking for, then I recommend advanced search. So when you click on advanced search, there's different ways of filtering all the tables that are here. You can filter by your topics, by geography, by the year that you want data for, the surveys. For example, if you just want the American Community Survey, you can just look for that specifically. And we also have economic data from our economic survey. So that is why you see the codes And that's referring to the NAICS codes, the North American Industry Classification System. So when do you use advanced search? Let's say that you want what we call complex geographies that have complex names. So like census tracts, this is where you would want to look for that geography. Or you want to compare multiple geographies. So here we call it collections of geographies. Or urban or rural data. Again, if you want multiple topics, population groups, if you want data for specific race groups, tribal groups, Hispanic origin, or origin, ancestry, and so forth. So before we go online, I do want to share with you our resources that are available. And when I do go live, I do want to show you census, where to find census.gov/academy. So if you're interested in learning more about what the census has to offer, if you go to the Academy page, you can see data gems, which give you some short how-to videos. Also, if you sign up for the for updates, as Dawn mentioned earlier, whenever new data gems come out, you will receive them in your email. You can also access courses and webinars that are being conducted in the near future. Also, we have our data dissemination and training branch. Here you have my contact info. You also have our census.askdata@census.gov and our toll-free number. If you're in need of data, feel free to either call or email me or send it to our general mailbox. On a regular basis, we're responding to data inquiries. Again, we want to make sure that if you need data, that we can help you find the data that you need. We also conduct data presentations and training workshops. So if you'd like to request a specific workshop for your organization, we can customize it based on the topics and the geographies that are important to you. And we used to do these in person. Right now they are webinars. At some point we will return in person. So now again, we'll do webinar or we'll do over the phone. And again, we're just here to serve as a liaison, as a resource to you, and there's no cost for the services that we provide. So feel free to reach out. And now without further ado, I'll go ahead and do a demonstration, not only of data.census.gov, but I also want to show you our main page, which is census.gov. Great, so when you go to census.gov, this is what you will see here. Usually in the middle, you will see the most updated releases. Right now we have the historical apportionment data map that, again, it's very interactive. You can see our population clock on the right-hand side. If you're somebody that you know received a questionnaire, we have here help for survey participants. And here we have quick facts. So we'll come to that in a minute. But if you scroll all the way down, actually, as you can see, you'll have lots of information if you keep going down. Here at the bottom, this is where you sign up for email updates. There's different ways to stay connected, and also all the different social media ways to stay connected. Before I show you quick facts, I want to show you the amount of information that is here on our website. You can browse by topic. If you're interested in education, for example, you can click on education and learn about this topic as it pertains to the different surveys that the census conducts on this particular topic. If you don't see what you're looking for, we have an A through Z list, so you can go more in depth into all the topics, all the information that is available on this website. Then we have Explore Data. Here we have Census Academy. I will not click on it, but just wanted to show you also another path in terms of how to get there. And then we have here data tools and apps, which I do want to show you because in my slide, I did show you maybe about 8 or 10 different data tools. But here you can see that we actually have 3 pages full of data tools. So depending on what you need, you can come here. So it's, for example, if you're interested in 2020 census data or information, here you can see what data tools are available. Here is Census Business Builder. There's the Data Hub. And let's see, here's data.census.gov. It does say explore census data, but here you will see the description tells you that it's data.census.gov. We do have a glossary, so there you can find it. And as you can see, there's many other tools. I won't go through all of the pages, but you can, again, depending on what you're looking for, this is another place to come and see what are some of those quick data tools that are available that can help easily get the data that you want. So now I will click, actually, no, I can go from here. So in Explore Data, you can also see that we have our developers page here. Visualizations, trainings and workshops. If you go to the library, you will see blogs. Blogs is another great way to stay informed, especially as we release decennial data, as we release ACS data. And we also have infographics and visualizations. These are usually whenever we have data releases, some great ones that you can access on various topics. Here you can see all the different surveys, and actually this is not a complete list, but some of the most often accessed surveys. So here you can go to our American Community Survey page. Let me click on it very quickly just to show you. This is the landing page, and here you can see, for example, guidance for data users. You can see our technical documentation, methodology, and again, so much more. And when you go to About the ACS, you can actually get what the questionnaires look like. So we were here at Survey Programs. We have information here for the media, survey participants, partners, educators, and students. Find a code. This is if you want economic data. And About Us also has a lot of great things, and it does have our FAQs here. You can see also if you're looking to contact our regional offices, their staff directory, and again, so much more information. So as you can see, a lot of information on our website. I'm clicking on the logo to take us back to the homepage. And I'm going to quickly show quick facts. So I just clicked on quick facts. Note that it defaulted to the United States. And if you scroll down, you will see some data on people, such as population, age and sex, race and Hispanic origin, population characteristics, housing. So you can see a little bit of data about many topics. Economy, which pertains to being in the labor force, income and poverty. And then we also have business data. So you can see how many businesses there are: men-owned, women-owned, minority-owned. Here you see veteran-owned and so forth. And some basic geography. One that sometimes we get a lot is a population density. So here you can see population per square mile. So very quickly, let me show you how you can do a search. I already have the United States. I want to compare it to our state of California. Now you'll see California added. Then I want to add San Bernardino County. That has been added. And lastly, we will type San Bernardino City. Okay, so now I have these geographies side by side. Again, I can add up to 6 geographies. And so very quickly, again, as you can see, we can just go down the table and quickly compare these 4 geographies. Again, they could be all states, they can be all counties, they can be all cities. Again, it's up to you. If you're interested in a specific fact, you can just look at the different data here. In this one, I will select language other than English spoken at home. And once I've selected it, it brings it to the top of my screen. So just a little tip in case if you're interested just in a specific data that you want to highlight, but then you also want to access the remainder of the tool. I won't go through the map, chart, or dashboard. It'll just you'll select one of these geographies and it will create that for you. But again, if you do want to share this, you can print it, you can download as a CSV, email, embed it, Twitter, and Facebook. So now I do want to, given the time, I do want to take you to data.census.gov and show you how to access some quick data. Let's see. So I want to show you first, earlier I talked about census designated places and East LA being one of those geographies. I want to show you how you can quickly access a profile for them or for any geography. So I'll start typing East Los Angeles. And if I select this one coming or that geography here, it'll take me to a quick profile. So it will populate with the quick map. It'll tell me the total area of square miles. You will see some quick data in terms of population, median household income, poverty, bachelor's degree or higher, employment, total housing units. And you can see here on the side that there's many other topics that I can select to just go to those topics, or I can just scroll down. So again, these are just give you some quick data points. So for example, if you look here at disabilities, you can see here the percent that is estimated to have a hearing difficulty, vision difficulty, cognitive, ambulatory, self-care, independent living difficulty. You can see where that data came from over here on the left-hand side. It came from one of our data profiles from the American Community Survey. And you can also share and export this data. You can turn on margins of error. Okay, so nice and easy tool. Let me go back to the main page. I know that we're running out of time and I do want to make sure we leave some time for questions. Now let me show you how to access those data profiles. So now I will select a different geography. I will put data profile for Orange County, and I'll put California because I know we have other orange counties. And then, oops, and I put an S. Hopefully it found it. Yes. So here you'll see, if I were to click here on the right-hand side, that will take me to a profile that's similar to the one that we just saw for East LA. But if we look here on the left-hand side under tables, we will see some profiles, some being from 2000. But here, these are the ones I want to look at. Data profile DP02, 03, 04, and 05. Because there is so much data, people always want to know, where should I start? I always recommend data profiles. These give you more data than some of those other tools that I just showed you, and I'll show you in just a minute. But this is a great place to start. So let's start with let's go to the ACS demographic and housing estimates so that we can just get some basic demographics. For Orange County, you can see what the total population is, and this table gives you estimates, the margin of error for the estimate, the percent, and the percent margin of error. So you can see the data here. You'll get sex and age data. You'll get race data. So if you look at this data, this will be specific to the race question. So you will not see Hispanic or Latino here. Hispanics or Latinos are included. For example, if they identified as white, they'll be included under the white category. If they identified as Black or African American, they'll be there, and so forth. So usually when individuals ask me for race and ethnicity data, I do recommend them to the bottom of this page. which is here. I can make this column wider. Okay. Which is Hispanic or Latino and race. So it does collect data from both the Hispanic or Latino question and then the race question. So you can see for Orange County what the population is, what's the estimated population for Hispanic or Latinos, and then right below you have the not Hispanic or Latino. So this is white alone, not Hispanic, Black or African American alone, not Hispanic, and so forth. Because we're running out of time, let me show you about customized table. If you go here, if you click on notes, you will be able to see what survey this data is from, the year, the table ID. Here you will have access to technical documentation. So if you want to access definitions for any of the variables here on the table, you can do that. You can quickly access our methodology. And if you see any symbols on the table right below, you will see what they mean, okay? You can also see what filters you use to access this table. Let's see, you can turn on and off margins of error. So if you're just comparing data here on the screen, you can turn it on, turn it off, you can transpose the data. So in terms of printing the information, don't really recommend printing from data.census.gov. It only prints the first page and the notes page. So for very small tables, maybe that'll work. What we recommend is that you download either Excel. So an Excel table will be formatted to look very similar to what you have here in front of you, or if you download as a CSV, you can select multiple years if you want data over different periods of time. But again, it won't be formatted, and this is data that you'd be then able to upload into other systems for further analysis. And then we do have a mapping feature which does require to have multiple geographies selected, and they have to be the same type of geography. So if I had, for example, comparing LA County to Orange County to San Bernardino, you know, all the counties in Southern California, if they were here in my query, I would be able to quickly see a map. And I will show you just one more quick example and then we'll open it for questions. I want to show you our mapping feature. Again, I'll go to advanced search. This time I'm going to do all census tracts within Riverside County and then create a map. So for geography, I always like to start with geography, although you can start your search anyway. We'll select my geography as a census tract within the state of California. And then I will select Riverside County. And here I get the option to select all census tracts within Riverside County, but as you can see, all the census tracts are listed individually. So if I did want data for specific census tracts, I can just select the ones that I want. So I will select all census tracts and I will, this time I won't select a topic. I will just see what comes up and I'll select a simple table, which is total population. I just want to see what the total population is for each of the census tracts. I will click on customize table and I will transpose my columns just to show you this is a simple table. I can just transpose it and even possibly take the margin of error. Let me go to the map. And so here you see all the census tracts within Riverside County. And this is just looking at total population. If I had a table that had a lot more data variables, here where it says total estimate, I would get a list of all those variables and I'd be able to select the one that I wanted to map. So it's just very user-friendly in terms of selecting what you want to map. I can also, let's see if I can just zoom in. If you were interested in a specific area, as you zoom in, you're able to see the census tract numbers as well. And if you click, you'll be able to see what census tract you're looking at, also what the population is. With our mapping feature, we don't have a print or a download feature yet. So usually what I do, I just do the screenshot thing. I'll take a screenshot of the legend and I'll take a screenshot of the map and add it to whatever document that I'm looking for. So lastly, I showed you a lot, but as you're working with our, with this platform, please send us your feedback. You will see that here we have a feedback button. This tool is still in development. It will continue, and they are looking at user feedback. So anything that you'd like to see, so for example, if you wanted to print the map or download a JPEG of it or shape files, let us know what you want. And our developers, again, are looking at this feedback on a regular basis. So I know I covered a lot, just wanted to remind you that we are available to work with you on this one-on-one and to do additional training. So now I'll turn it back and see if we can answer a few quick questions before we run out of time.
Luz, we do have 2 questions so far in the chat box. The first one I was addressing, it's regarding census tracts. Where do we find data by census tract? And what are the parameters for determining the size of a census tract? I told them that it was 4,000 people within a given geography. Are you able to tell them how they can find data by census tract?
Yes, so in that last example, again, you will have to do advanced search. Again, just as the same example that I just did, go to geography, and you want census tract data. Select your state, select your county. So now let me see, I know Orange County is a big one, so let's just do Orange County. And you can again select all of the census tracts within that county, or if you already know what your census tract is, then you can select it. Let's just say that you wanted data for that specific one. Let me just select a few. And you click search, although I can still filter by topic. I can now look at any table. And you'll see here's data for that census tract. And let me see if I can. Actually, this is I selected a big table, so it'll be a while. There's the next census tract over here. So hopefully that helps. But again, the population threshold ranges from 1,200 to about 8,000. The ideal is 4,000. Changes are determined every 10 years. Our geography team works closely with county staff to determine, again, if census tracts are losing population, maybe we combine that census tract with another one, or if a census tract is getting too big, they decide to split it. Then in terms of numbering those census tracts, there's a way that we number to really understand that relationship in them. So I know that it's a complex one. So if you do want to need more information on the census tracts, again, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be more than glad to help.
All right, 2 more questions. The first of the 2, how can you use how can you use data.census.gov to compare race, ethnicity, regarding Hispanic and Latinx and all non-Hispanic, Latinx, single race, mixed and other for a certain indicator, like housing burden, educational attainment, poverty for a specific geography? Can you recode variables and compare race and ethnicity with other variables within data.census.gov?
Right, so when I heard recode, we do have our microdata access tool, which is right in here from data.census.gov. You can scroll down and here's our microdata tool that would guide you through that. We do have, through the American Community Survey, special population data tables and profiles. They allow you to get data, more detailed data for specific race and ethnicity groups. So we do have some data. It may be limited. So again, please reach out to me. I can work with you and see whether the best way to do it is through data.census.gov, or maybe you need to use this other tool, which is our microdata access tool, which we can also help you navigate.
And then a follow-up to the census tract question is, how do I find out the census tract number for my city?
Mm-hmm. So for your city, we are working on, let me see. If you have an address, we do have a geocoder that will allow you to do that. If you go to census.gov, actually our Census Business Builder tool, if you have an address, that is a great tool to use. So if you go to data, tool apps, and you go to Census Business Builder, Small Business Edition, it could actually, you can enter an area or a location and it'll tell you where you're at. So here, for example, I can say, find my location, and hopefully it works. But it will let me know what census tract I'm in. But we do have another tool in Geography, which is a little bit more complex. I was trying to think of an easy one, and it's not sure if it's finding my location, but it will give me, it's just taking a while. So this is one of the ways, if you just want to know for your specific location what census tract I'm located in. Now, if you want to access data for access the census tract numbers for the entire city, you would go to our Geography, and hopefully I can quickly access it. If I remember, I know there's some interactive maps. And so I'm trying to think if this would be the best one, but we do have some maps that allow you to access census tracts, and I don't think that's it. So right now I can't remember. I know that it's here, so send me a quick email. I'll send you the link to where you can access the maps. You can zoom into your city, and then you can identify the census tracts that are there.
Thank you, Luz and Donald. I appreciate it. We are about at time right now, but I just wanted to thank everyone for participating, and Donald and Luz for a great presentation and discussion here.
Great, thank you everybody for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
And don't forget part 2 of the demography workshop next Tuesday. Same time.